and welcome to Guitar Magic. This is the first in a series of tapes designed to make you play guitar better. Or, if you're just beginning guitar, to show you the basics and what you need to know to play guitar. I'll start off by showing you the guitar and some equipment, and maybe even a few tricks of the trade. Just hold tight, because the magic is about to begin. See, I told you. Magic. This is a guitar. This is a Fender Stratocaster, made possible and playable by such greats as Buddy Holly, Jimi Hendrix, Ritchie Blackmore, and Eric Clapton. They've all played a similar model to this. You at home, though, just beginning, don't need a guitar like this. These can run into the hundreds of dollars. You just need something to begin with. This is for more advanced. Several parts of the guitar are necessary to know. First of all, we have the neck. The neck is the part where you play with your left hand, which gives you the notes that you need to have to play. On this particular guitar, there are 22 frets on the neck. And frets are just spaces in between where notes go. That's the basic definition. Some guitars have 24 frets on the neck. This particular one has 22. Also, you need to know about pickups. These three things are called pickups. They're called single coil pickups because they are one pickup each separately, using one magnetic coil to pick up the sound coming off the strings. Then we have the tone and volume controls. These three little knobs control exactly what they say, the tone and the volume. And lastly, and probably most important if you're going to play leads, this is what's known as the whammy bar or the wah-wah. If you've seen films of Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton, you know what they do with this. Eddie Van Halen also uses this, but he doesn't play this particular guitar. Now that you know the basics of the guitar, it's time to show you some amplification equipment. That's what this electric guitar plugs into. Of course, if you have an acoustic guitar, you don't need an amplifier. There are several types of amplifiers. There are what are known as practice amplifiers, which are small, lightweight, and portable. And then there are gig amplifiers, which are big and bulky. Can also be used for practice, but they're kind of big and bulky, just like they sound. And then, of course, there are crates. Crates are big 4-speaker monster amps, which weigh a lot, and we'll get into those later on in the series. But right now, this is an example of a small practice amp. It has several small knobs to control volume, bass, treble, and on this particular one, you can get some distortion. That's this knob here. These generally sound as good as anything else. It's just that you don't use them if you're going to play someplace like with a band. These are mostly for home, for practice. Next we have this big stage amp, you could call this. You would use this on stage if you were going to play live, and you could even use it for practice if you had a soundproof room, because this amp gets really loud. This is a PV Bandit. As you can see, there are more knobs, a few more buttons, and a few more inputs on this particular amp. These knobs over here are for overdrive. Overdrive gives it that raw, heavy metal type of sound. I'll show you that sound later. It takes time to develop a touch and to set these knobs in the position that you want them, or the particular sound that you want. It's not easy to do. It takes time and it takes practice. So we have small practice amp, large playing amp. Did you understand all of that? It's pretty confusing, but just keep with me. It's going to get a little bit trickier now. Now that you understand a little bit about the amp and a little bit about the guitar, I'm going to move into something called effects pedals. These are things that change the sound of your guitar. They go from your guitar, from the out here, into these effects, electronically change the sound, go into the amp, and then come out with that sound that you want. I'm only going to show you a couple of these because they're kind of difficult to understand, and it takes time to learn which ones are right for you. So first I'm going to start with what's called a flanger. And a flanger basically gives it that tinny metallic type of sound. That's the kind of sound you want for maybe leads, or if you're going to play something psychedelic, that's what you'd like. Next I'm going to show you the American metal. American metal gets you just what it sounds like, that heavy metal sound, that Judas Priest, Metallica, groups like that, that kind of sound. Then I'm going to hook up a compressor sustainer. The compressor sustainer makes the sound tighter and compresses it. It gives it more of a bass sound, like if you turn the bass up on your stereo, that's what this kind of does. It's almost that same type of idea. Then I'm going to put on something known as a classic wah-wah, or a crybaby. A crybaby is that sound that makes that wah, wah, wah sound that several bands have employed, such as Jimi Hendrix, for example. He used it very often. That is how he got that wah-wah, that crying type of sound. That's the crybaby or wah-wah. And these all hook up nicely right into your amplifier. And this is what a complete row of effects looks like all hooked up. As you can see, they need to be patched together with these cords. That makes sure that they all flow nice and smooth into each other. If they're not hooked up, you break the system and you won't have anything coming out. Okay, so now you're all hooked up. You have your amps, you have your pedals, you have your guitar plugged into it with your guitar's extension cord, and it plugs into the end effects pedal. You're ready to play. Of course you have to turn the power on or you won't get anything loud. You'll just get that kind of stuff. And you can't hear that in the back row. It's good if the people next door to you are sleeping, but you can't get a true sound of what the effects are going to make it sound like. One other thing you need to have is a pick. Picks come in several different shapes and sizes. Here are just a few. Okay, so now you think you're ready to play? Not yet. You have to tune the guitar. A tuned guitar helps it sound a lot better than an untuned guitar. A properly tuned guitar in the hands of someone who knows how to play can make beautiful music, music you just won't believe. It's very simple if you know the tricks of how to tune a guitar. The trick you need to know is you have to have an electronic tuner like this one. What happens is you turn it on and you pick whichever note you're going to play. I'm going to pick the E note, which is this top string. I'm going to try to tune this. So what I'll do is, you'll see the scale on the bottom of the tuner. I'll hit it and it says E. It'll say sharp or flat on either side, that red light flashing. You move the tuning pegs up here on the top of the guitar until you see it come to the green in the middle with the E note. That is a tuned guitar string. And now a few basics. First, strumming. Just going up and down, that's strumming. If you're going to play single notes, you have to use the pick. That's called picking. Once again, strumming, picking. Don't worry about what I was doing with my hand. That comes later on in the course. Now we're ready to play. See if you can pick out which effects pedal I'm using as I'm playing. I'm just going to play. I'm not going to play anything of any value. So here goes. That had no effects pedals, as you can see, and plainly here. I'll now try the flanger. As you can hear, It gives it kind of that tinny, thin type of sound. The type of sound that is good for psychedelic types of things. This is the American Metal pedal. Listen to what this gives. That's the type of pedal you want to use. As you can hear, it's that Judas Priest, Metallica, and that sort of thing type of sound. This next pedal that we described before, the compressor, can be used in combination with any of these or by itself, giving it its own rich, distinct tones. Of course, it helps if you turn it on. So you have to watch these things. You might think that it's broken, but you have to just watch it. Can you hear the difference? It's slight, but it's there. Now we have the wah pedal, which also must be turned on. Now when the wah is used in conjunction with the whammy bar, you can get some really tasty sounding things. Any combination will work as well. So as you can see, guitar can be fun, exciting, and if you get good, you can make a lot of money at it. On our next series, we'll teach you more of the basics of chords, chord progression, and something known as the cycle of fifths, which will help you in songwriting and music notation. For Guitar Magic, I'm Gary Block.